Boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna get some theme music at some point.
We should, for sure.
Yeah, I have to come up with that. Something that's not copyrighted, that's not looked at, but that we can still use on a regular basis.
That we can ever use.
Well, hello, Glenda. How are you today?
Hi, Mike Mills. I'm doing fantastic. I feel like it's been a minute since we've been on here.
It's been quite a minute. It's been like 3 weeks, but it's July, vacations, 4th of July, you got graduation stuff. You guys are all over the place. I mean, Mom's Optimist International, Mega Light or Mega
That was
Socialite.
insane.
So you got a lot going on. I'm chasing around children between sports all the time. So that's
Yeah, you've been everywhere for your baseball stuff.
Yes, but it's over with for now. So
now football starts.
Yeah, now football starts. And we'll be doing baseball too. We're doing both.
So nice.
And volleyball, club volleyball, all those things.
Oh, yeah. Fall sports. We're here.
But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about Ethereum and how the price just went up because of the conversion over to its No, we're not. But
crypto, that's the next step.
But it did happen and it is getting better.
Yes.
So that doesn't mean anything's coming back though. I think we're all still in death spiral of economy. But either way, that's where it's headed back. So today, I want to talk to you specifically because you're going through something personally that is very applicable to today's market because of what other people are experiencing, agents and buyers and sellers of their houses. And I thought it would be good to talk a little bit about that because I want to know, I want you to tell everybody what you're going through, number one. And number two is, we're obviously here to discuss social media and how it impacts your business and how to use it properly.
Right.
So I think we can add a little bit of a twist to that as well to kind of talk about how, to overcome some of these challenges that you're dealing with personally, how agents and lenders can use social media to kind of help build that a little bit.
For sure.
So, so first off, if anybody doesn't know, Glenda is going through a situation where she is.
It's not. Well, hold on. It's not a weird situation.
No, I said going through a situation.
It sounds really like it's not medical.
No. This is about buying a house.
To buying a house.
Yeah, this is about buying a house. This isn't. Yeah, she doesn't have the gout or something. Maybe she does. No, but this is so you started building a house way back when.
April 2021.
Back before time began. And obviously you own a house that you're having to sell, but selling a house when you're building a house can be a little tricky.
Yes.
And so tell us first off, like how this all got started. Like you decided to buy a house, you went through the build process. Just kind of tell us your story. What's going on?
Well, we actually contracted April 2021.
Okay.
So
over a year and a half.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
There was an issue with of where the plat was.
Right.
So we didn't find out until December that the builder was unable to build the
house that you wanted.
Yes. Well, he couldn't build on that plat alone because it was weathering and eroding and all of that, and the city wouldn't sign off.
Right.
So not only did we lose April to December timeframe, we had to recontract on a new home in December.
So you were under contract for a build. You started that process in April, and then you find out by December that the house you were trying to build, you couldn't build. And now you're having to build a different house on a different spot and had to come up with a new contract.
Just moved one lot over.
So you had to start all over again.
We had to start all over. So we lost the interest rates. We lost everything for the new build.
But this is still December of 2021, right?
Yes. So then we recontracted in December 2021. The builder was gracious enough to give us the same purchase price.
Right.
Until, of course, February and March, where lumber shot up.
I like to call that supply chain COVID oil. That's my hashtag. I'm going to get a shirt that says, because everything that's wrong in today's society, everybody blames it on.
It's hashtag
supply chain COVID oil. It's either supply chain's not working out, oil prices are too high, or everybody's got COVID and nobody can come to work.
Well, even a school, even one of the new schools in Midlothian yesterday, they came out and said they're supposed to open in August. Now they are being bussed and they're having to go to other elementaries and middle schools because supply chain. And now they're not opening in July or in January. So that's a side note. Midlothian, by the way, Coleman, you're not opening until January. Be on the lookout for that. Not only did we have the now lumber shortage, because he had to order it. So then the price went up $30,000 from there.
Right.
When we start going in to order our supplies, everything is higher from when we ordered it.
Yes.
Um,
The cost is higher for everything.
cost
but
is
the builder
higher.
was going to honor the price that they'd given you.
the
originally.
base price.
Right. Oh, you're right. Oh,
Base
yeah, we'll
price.
get into that too. Okay.
So now the base price is there. So yes, not only is, I mean, this is everything from lights.
Mhm.
Our light fixtures were at one set, they came in $2,600 more than
Shocking.
what the budget was.
Yeah.
The front door is $4,200 more for the base door.
Supply chain COVID oil.
The so it's for me, and that's what I keep telling him. Like, I'm a lender, I understand it,
Right.
but to have clients and agents tell their consumer and their clients the same thing,
Yeah.
it is all supply chain,
Right.
COVID oil,
Right. Supply chain
100%.
COVID oil. 100%. That's what was being told.
And it's to be patient. But for me, on the flip side, yes, we are selling our house.
Right. So you contracted this build, right? Which if anybody's building a house out there, you know, or are probably going through this process of when's your house going to be finished?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We need a lease back. Well,
Right. It
lease
could be
backs,
done
we're
in
good.
3 months. It could be done in 6 years. Nobody knows. And
Correct.
the best thing is that when you find out your contract, or excuse me, when you find out your completion date is pushed, they don't tell you like 6 months in advance. They tell you like the month before it's supposed to close, or like a few days, right?
Right here, y'all.
Yes.
Pain point. So yes, we were supposed to close September 1st.
Right.
So we're already working on transitioning to a new
Right.
school as
Yep.
well. And then of course, on top of that, the school wants the new mortgage statement
Right.
to move them. And I'm like, well, I have a contract. I'm not going to put my kid into school for 2 weeks and then move her. But yeah, then he came up yesterday and said, hey, it's another 4.5 weeks for supply chain.
Right.
COVID oil.
So now you are, you have to sell a house
I have
in
to sell
order
a house.
to buy this
That
one.
is on the market.
Right. And if you would have listed this house, if the house would have been completed back in when you started this process in April of last year, and if it had been normal 6 to 8 months to get it
We
completed,
would have been November and December
Right.
was the original
and,
close time.
and what's happened in the market between then and now when it comes to selling a house?
It's not just interest rates, it's inventory is up. I like to say the demand is down, but the demand is really not down, but it's really more the interest rates are kind of causing buyers to back out and just say, hell, I'm going to hold off because
Yes.
they think
It's coming back down.
they think that these rates are going to stay forever.
Right.
Is some of the conversations we've had. Some of the feedback is, oh, I don't want to buy a house this big and not know. Of course, the bigger issue is inflation.
Sure.
Gas prices, but even gas yesterday was down to like $3.80, so that's gone
Yeah,
down.
gas is coming down.
Go get your gas, go fill up if you didn't look at it. So for me,
Thanks
I mean,
a lot, Brandon. Is that how the
let's
phrase
go,
is?
Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. You're right. Yeah.
In the last 2 weeks, it has completely shifted. And I know for me, having a house on the market today, 3 weeks ago, you had 5 and 10 and 15 people offer on a house.
Yep.
We've had a couple showings, one offer, and it just didn't have a pool, so they didn't want it.
And by the way, this is in Midlothian.
It's in Midlothian,
in a good school district,
and it's in a great school district.
right? In a great neighborhood.
It's subdivision on a cul-de-sac.
Mhm.
The lowest price point for that square footage.
Yes, I would say reasonably priced, but that's all perspective.
It's perspective, but
right.
we're still the lowest. When you look at over our square footage, we are literally the lowest in the area.
So I do have a bit of a theory on why we're experiencing this right at this moment.
The
okay?
rapid experience.
Well, okay, so I think anybody that's a lender or a realtor who's watching this understands, I think, that what we're in right now. Now, I'm gonna get to the rates and the prices and stuff too,
Right.
but just the normal cycle of our real estate market. Okay. Generally speaking, and everybody thinks, oh, summer's the hottest time to buy and sell a house or whatever, which I think is true to some degree.
Right.
And what I mean by that is if you're talking about, realize that mortgage or a purchase cycle is 30 days typically.
Right.
So if you're closing on a house in June, right, where
Right.
the numbers show up, you contracted that house in May.
Absolutely.
Right. And if you're closing on a house in July, you contracted on that house in June.
Right.
And so on and so forth. Right.
It's back to school.
So the first couple of weeks of June, when people are just getting out of school, just getting ready to start doing, you're still going to get contracts. You're still going to have things
Absolutely.
moving because people are here.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then summertime hits officially.
Yeah.
Right. And people go on vacation. And so the last couple of weeks of June and the first couple of weeks of July,
Right.
at least in my experience, has always been pretty, not slow, but just there's a decline in business.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't hurt or it doesn't help that right now it's hot as the surface of the sun outside and it's 100 freaking.
Some people have
degrees.
said that they don't want to come to the house. It's 110 degrees.
It's miserable,
but it's horrible.
It's absolutely miserable. We were in Houston for a baseball tournament. And we were playing on turf. And
Oh,
it was black, and it was 105 degrees, and it felt like 120 on
Yeah,
turf.
no, thank you.
My son, like, basically almost passed out because he was catching. He's in all that gear.
No.
It's miserable outside.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have really high temperatures. That are, and by the way, the UK right now, they're saying it's the hottest place on the planet.
Did you see that one of the highways fell in yesterday because it's so hot?
China's dealing with a massive heat wave that's occurring for them over there. The UK and all of Europe is dealing with a massive heat. Like the whole planet
It's
is
post-COVID.
hot as shit. Okay.
It's hotter than hell.
Sorry.
Literally.
No F-bombs, but I'm gonna drop one of those. So it is really, really, really hot. So I think that, along with the fact that everybody's going on vacation,
for sure,
everybody wants to get away from this heat. One of my friends posted on Facebook that they were going to the equator, going to the central Mexico, right near the equator, so they could get away from the heat that we're dealing with here. It was 90 degrees.
It was 90 in Cabo when we just got back. I was like, this is really weird.
So it's really hot. The people are on vacation, and you tack onto that, rates are high, prices are high, all that kind of stuff.
And getting back to school, right? Because when you look at stuff right now, I mean, we're in the middle of July right now. When you close, people now have to get their kiddos into school, enrolled in school.
Right.
So now that becomes, for me, as a pain point, and it's not really a pain point because we can adjust it if we need to. But that is a big deterrent for some buyers right now, because they either have to move their kids into school now, because Midlothian starts August 11th. So we're already within that 30-day window.
Right.
I don't know when Mansfield starts, but it's
August 12th.
Yeah. So it's between that, and then some, typically wait till after Labor Day, because that's when it really kind of gets back in swing, because there is still a lot of people on vacation.
Right.
So pain point for me and for real estate agents, a lot of conversation is, oh, my business is down. What do I need to do?
Right.
You need to get on social media.
Right.
You need to be talking about the pain point that I'm telling you. Take to the pain point and get on social, because the more you're on social talking about the pain points and how to leverage the market, the more the consumer is going to find you to get educated.
So so now you're trying to sell your house.
Yes.
Okay. And again, if this was November of 2021,
it would have gone like that.
You would have sold it in 2 days and you'd have had 25 offers. But now we're in July of 2022, and the market shifted a lot. And I want to be really clear, and I think you've made a video or two on this, and I've done one too. Anybody that's out there expecting or waiting for prices to come crashing down,
they will not.
It's not going to happen.
No.
Now, I do believe that it will level off.
I do.
Because we've been experiencing 18 to 20% appreciation for the last 3 years. That's not going to continue.
4 to 5. The normal appreciation is 4 to 6.
Well, even for this year, the Freddie Mac, I think, did a survey on it. They think that appreciation for 2022 will stay somewhere in the range of 9 to 12%.
Yeah, that's what it's like
across the market. That's just what it's going to be. Now, again, we're talking about U.S. housing as a whole. We're not talking about specific markets, and there are specific places that have fallen off quite a bit, but it's not here.
Not in Dallas.
I do, again, a lot of agents and lenders and buyers and whatnot are experiencing things a little differently right now, just because it is summertime. People are on vacation. It is hotter balls outside. There's a lot of factors that are attributing to everything slowing down heavier than we're used to.
Right. And at a quick speed. It was a rapid speed overnight.
Yeah, it happened overnight. So you're trying to sell your house. So tell me, again, you said you've had a couple showings. So now as a seller, right, you're not just a lender, you're a seller.
And I'm sorry for my agent, because I'm sorry, your client is a lender.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So now tell me some of the feedback you're getting from buyers that are coming looking at your property that you would have never even heard of, 6 months ago.
Like the tile, we had one that the tile wasn't clean, and one of them said it needs a little TLC, and we were like, okay, what's TLC? It's a 7-year-old house.
Right.
You got kids. There's no holes. It's really kind of pristine. And the TLC was, they just wanted the back door painted. Right. And I was like, well, what the hell? That's TLC. I'm sorry. But it's more and more of those conversations, right? Now it's who's paying title, right? We're seeing more sellers.
Yep.
For us, the strategy is, and even for me selling my house, the strategy is still, I'll pay some closing costs towards a down payment of your interest rate, and buying the interest rate down instead of taking off the price of the house.
Right.
That's a strategy we talk. And if no agent is talking that, or if they're not leveraging that tool for their client, I
Right.
think they're doing a disservice to their client right
Yeah.
now because rates are high. They're all associated with discount points. And as a seller, instead of backing out the price of the home, we're getting this, a price reduction here, a price reduction here. We need to be helping our buyers buy down that interest rate
Yeah, get cash.
and get cash.
You can
Like
do all
get
kinds
it
of stuff,
towards
yeah.
closing costs, get it towards whatever you need, but get the cash to buy the interest rate down because that's ultimately going to help the buyer. It's not going to help the seller.
Well, at this particular moment in time, and I keep saying this particular moment in time because I do think it's going to change a little bit. And
sure.
once the fall rolls around, I think there's going to be more activity because a couple of things. People are going to settle into the fact that the rates are here. This
Yeah.
is what they are. They're not going down to 3% tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
They're in a state of shock still.
Right. The pricing has improved, right? But it hasn't. It's not the house that's worth 350 is not going to be selling for 290.
No,
tomorrow.
it's
That's
not
happening either.
No.
So, but as a buyer, the market has shifted to your favor, right? It's moved
for sure.
into your favor to say, hey, I can ask for title policies now.
Absolutely.
I can ask for closing costs. I can ask for things that I couldn't have asked for before. But now it's the sellers have to change their mindset because the issue with sellers like you is that we were selling, I don't know, we're not going to talk about what your house is listed for, but let's just say there was a house listed for, they were going to list it for 320, right? Back last summer.
Right.
And they got offers at 350 and 360. And that's what the price went up to because they listed it at a certain level. Well, now the seller goes into it going, well, my neighbor's house sold for 360. So my house should go for 370 or whatever.
Right.
It's not really the case because the market was overinflated.
Right. Absolutely.
And it had to come down some in order to get balanced out.
Yeah.
So now sellers also have to settle into the fact that there's not 30 offers competing for my house tomorrow. It doesn't matter where you are, right?
Right.
Midlothian,
We're
nice
Midlothian,
neighborhood,
it
great
doesn't
school
matter.
district, and you don't have 75 people beating down your door. A normal cycle of a house to sell is usually about 30 to 60 days. Like that's how long it takes.
And
right?
I think it's been kind of I like to call it a crapshoot, but it's the whole appraisal issues. It's an artificial inflation, right? It's what the buyer wants to buy is the reason the prices are there.
Right.
It's all about the demand and the supply out there. And again, that's not, I don't feel, and this is just me, and I'm sorry, agents, I don't feel that agents are doing and even lenders are doing what we should to get the word out there.
Right.
We need to be having those conversations. It's a hard conversation out there to tell our clients of, hey, the market has shifted, right? Instead of saying, oh, do this for the house, do this for the house. We need to be having those hard conversations, but the ones that we didn't have to have for 2 years ago when clients were just coming out of the woodworks. Now it's a how to be and how to buy in this market because it has completely shifted, and we've got reports that we can give to you agents. So if you're not sure what's going on, if you're hopefully checking MLS, but we have great data reports that we can give to you, especially on our Monday morning emails that we send out that tells you where the market's at.
Right.
And that's a great tool to utilize to get a quick minute update of where the market is. Because again, the more we educate consumers and Californians that come in, the more we educate our out of towners who come into Texas, they're going to know the market.
Right. Well, and you don't have to take our word for it, honestly, because like I'm not saying like, okay, so Dave Ramsey is somebody that's been popping up a lot lately, and I'm not. There's some things I agree with Dave Ramsey on. There's some things I don't. It's just like
most lenders are neutral for him.
Right.
50-50 one day.
But if you look and see what he's promoting right now, and you can look and say, okay, well, everybody has an agenda, and how do we know what really? I get all that, but at the end of the day, a guy like that, he's got a certain reputation brand that he's trying to maintain. And so he's not going to put information out there that he doesn't truly believe himself. Whether he's right or wrong is irrelevant, but that's what he thinks, right?
Absolutely.
And so you see him everywhere talking about what you and I have talked about before is that prices are not going down because supply is not changing anytime soon. There's not a bunch of people in foreclosure. There's not
3% I read yesterday. So agents, it's not 34%. I had an agent yesterday and I was like, hey, it's not 34%. She was like, with this. And I said, again, fact check, y'all. Check your sources before you do it, because it was some off the wall black hole one. And I was like, oh gosh, you kind of put an extra number.
Or somebody on a mom's Facebook group decided to share her finance knowledge of the world. But in building starts, the thing that judges how much builders are building homes for single family residences is down. It's not up. I mean, building starts as a whole, if you look at the if you just Googled building starts, like statistics or whatever,
Yeah.
you would see that building starts are up across the board,
Right.
but they're up on multifamilies. They're up on apartment complexes.
Absolutely.
They're up on condos. They're up on duplexes. They're not going up on single family homes.
Right.
They're going down. So they're not building any more houses. There's nobody in foreclosure or not enough. So the only thing that's affecting the supply is the demand, which is what sellers or buyers, I should say, are a little hesitant right now because rates are high.
Right.
They feel like prices are high, which they probably are a little bit, and they'll come down. But we're not having a massive shift in price tomorrow.
No.
It's not happening.
No.
It's not happening anytime soon, because unless we have a glut of, unless all the baby boomers go into early retirement tomorrow and move into the homes, we're not.
But there's still homes for them to go into.
Right.
They
right.
can move into their kids'
Well, I mean,
house.
going into their
Their kids' homes that they need
the
a help.
old folks' homes, which are on every corner of every city right now that you see.
Yeah,
everywhere.
no
Those are
kidding.
everywhere.
They are everywhere.
So unless that happens, so you're not having a supply difference. So the only thing that's going to change is the demand to some extent, right? Which has shifted, and all of the institutional money has pulled out because their money to borrow has become more expensive,
right?
And everybody's freaking out for the massive crash that they still think is coming, because there's still plenty of people out there that said this little fall that we've experienced is just kind of like the trip before falling off the cliff.
Right.
I don't know if that's true or not. I have no idea. It's just what people are talking about. But that's why institutional money is holding back on purchasing anything.
Right.
They're pulling their cash out of the market and holding on to it just to see. Everybody's kind of like, what's going to happen, right? And so whether we go into recession or whatever happens. But that's why somebody like Dave Ramsey is telling people that right now is the best time to buy a house.
Absolutely.
Because, I've heard this term 1,000 times, and I'll let you say it because it drives me nuts. But when we buy a house, we do what to the price and what to the rate?
Yes, it's a fun one. We're going to
Say
marry our home, and we're going to date the rate, and we're going to divorce your damn rent.
That's right.
So yes, it's a fun little thing. Again, hashtag DD. What is it? We're going to come up with a hashtag on that besides Coke and oil.
Or marry the house, date the rate.
But that's what it is.
Third part you added to it?
Divorce your rent.
Divorce your
I
rent.
saw that the other day. I was like, "Ooh, that's pretty spicy."
That's good.
But and it is, right, because it's a cyclical, of where we're at. Is the rates are always like, it's never going to be consistent. And historically, over 60 years they've been doing this, is they're always going to go up, down. When it hits the floor, it's going to go up. When it hits the ceiling, it's going to go down. So it is a matter of, if you love the home and if you've got your budget and you can afford the house, buy the home that you love. Yeah. And then we're going to refinance you down the road. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty normal.
Well, I mean, I'll speak personally. Like I've been trying to get into doing some builds. I want to try to buy some land and build a house on it. Not for me, but just to go through the process to sell it and do whatever, because I want to learn about that facet of our business. But you need money to do that. You need capital. And over this last couple of years, I bought a couple different properties and put a lot of stuff into renovation and stuff. So a lot of my, let's call it excess cash, is sitting in real estate. Right. And I really want to get access to it. So I have a property on one of the lakes here in Texas that my interest rate on it's like 2.625. Like, it's cheap as can be. Yeah. But I have, half of it is my equity is sitting there. I don't want to say how much, but there's a lot of money sitting in the house.
You get it tied up, but it's liquidity cash for real estate.
But I can't get it. I can't do anything with it. So the only way I can get it is to either sell it or I can refinance it and get cash out of it. Right. Well, in my head, even as a lender, I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that. I got a 2.875 interest rate and whatever. And by the way, it's very difficult to get a home equity line of credit on second home, especially or investment property. It's very difficult to do that. Absolutely. I've looked, trust me.
Especially in Texas.
Right. So, so my options are sell it or refinance it and get the cash out so I can do what I want to do. Well, if I refinance it, my rate's going to go up to like 6 something. Right. And people will go, well, that's stupid. Why would you ever do that? Well,
where are you going to borrow money cheaper?
Right. Where am I going to get money cheaper at 6% right now than in that property?
You're not going to pull it out of 401k because that's going down. No. Folks, by the way, unless you have to pull it out, let it stay in your 401k. Yeah. Let it rise back up.
Things will come back. They always do. But so I want to get that money, and I'm really considering, and I think, we're trying to sell it too to see if we can get some movement on it, because it's just a pain in the butt managing some of these because of VRBO. But if I can't sell it because I'm not going to get the price I want in this market, then I am going to refinance it. Absolutely. And I am going to take the 6% interest, and I am going to use that money to go do the things that I want to do. Absolutely. Because that money can be used to generate more money. Absolutely. As opposed to just saving me, $500 or $600 because that's its payment's going to go up. to save me some money on a monthly payment, I'm thinking of it in terms of, well, I'm trying to grow my money. I'm not trying to hold and keep everything tight. And so I'm okay with taking a higher rate because I know that it's only going to be for maybe a year or two.
Right.
And then they're going to come back, even if they come back down to 3 or 4, okay? Like I'm still in a good spot what I can do.
Because that's the normal kind of, it's not 2. So let's get that out of mind. I mean, like literally.
That's insane.
That was insane. And it probably in our lifetime will never happen again.
Right. But I can't get that money any other way. And so I'm losing, I'm having lost opportunity. Everybody's concerned about, well, I got to hold my money and I got to keep the rate that I have. And
use it and reinvest.
Well, exactly.
Absolutely.
Grow your money. Do more with it. Don't just get scared and hold back. Now, I'm not saying, look, you need to be smart too, right? If you're concerned about your job and you don't know where your income's coming from.
Or if you tell a lender you don't know how to pay for something and you like to overspend.
Right.
Maybe that's not a good thing.
I'm really talking to those people that are wanting to do more and have money in places they can do it, but are scared because, again, we get so wrapped up in interest rates all the time, but, and it matters. And sometimes if you have rental properties and you're trying to cash flow, all that stuff makes a difference. But even if I was talking to somebody the other day that they had a business loan that they had done and they owed like, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 a month on the note because it was a short note. Like 5 years or something. But they had $500,000 tied up in their house, like in equity. And so their rate though was like 3%. And I was like, look, if you refinance and take the cash out of your property, your payment is going to go up $1,000 because this is a big one, right? It's going to go up a significant amount, but you're not going to have a $5,000 note that you now have to pay because you can pay that off.
Absolutely.
And so even though your mortgage payment went up $1,000 and your interest rate went up, your cash flow on a monthly basis just went down by $4,000.
Right.
So how does that not make sense to do that? Because cash flow makes much bigger difference on what you can do with your money to help it grow than it does on saving on debt.
Right. And that's the strategies we talk about whenever you're selling your home right now. I had one yesterday. She said, I don't want to pay off the car. And I said, okay, let's take a look at it. The car was $795.
Yeah.
If we just paid the car off with her new mortgage and her credit card debt was like super low, I said, your mortgage payment's only going up $150 after we pay off your car.
Right.
So,
and the car payment just went away.
And the car payment went away.
Right.
Yes, you're going from a 6-year note to a 30-year note, but it's the liquidity that you need in a high inflation market.
Well, but see, even that, I think that is the wrong way to look at it. Only because, people say, oh, well, now I'm financing my car for 30 years. Not really, because if you are taking that additional funds, if you're
let's get real. How many people keep their mortgage for 30 years?
Right, that doesn't happen.
Let's go ahead and look at that. The lifespan of a refinance is 3 to 5 years.
Right.
So at that point, you're basically net negative at that point.
But if you were paying $600 a month on your car, right?
Yeah.
And you just adjusted your cash flow down by $500 a month, and you apply that money back to it,
absolutely,
you're still paying it off faster.
Absolutely.
Because again, and I say this 1,000 times a day, interest is a function of time, not a function of money.
Yes.
So if you have a 6% interest rate, but you only have it for 2 years, it's not a bad deal.
It's not.
When you as opposed to a 3% interest rate for 20 years, I'm good. 3% is less. Like, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it's an example to show it's the time that matters.
Absolutely.
How long do you have that rate, not what your rate is.
Right.
And I think that's the piece that a lot of people miss because they're so wrapped up in, and honestly, a lot of times because that's what they understand.
It is.
That's all they understand.
It's the education. And that's why we try to get on social as much as we can to educate our consumers. So I know we've got stuff on our YouTube channel. So if you're buying a house or if your agents if you need content, that's what we use YouTube for as well.
So, all right. So now as a seller, you are dealing with all that fun
stuff. It's a crapshoot. So I'm selling a home and building a house.
And you're a builder. You're a buyer builder. Like you're buying a build. I mean, a lot of people are buying new builds and a lot of people are trying to sell their house. So what would your advice be to people that are going through this right now, since you've been going through it yourself?
Weather the storm, stay consistent. And I know me, I'm a very positive person. It's hard, but it's hard. And just have those, you have to have the constant communication, but you have to know that it's only short term of what we're doing. It is, like Mike said, it is summer, back to school. the end of vacation. People are trying to soak it in. For me, I've got a kid leaving college. Like she's on countdown. She's like, oh, mom, I got like 32.12 days. So
how do you have a college student, Linda? You're so young.
Oh,
You're so young.
thanks. They said that Mexico. I was like, okay, thanks. But it is. So it's kind of like they're soaking in the last 3 weeks because that's all we have of summer. So no, if your homes are staying on the market a little bit longer, it's going to happen.
That's right.
Don't just walk on there and price reduce it because you think it is. Like everything is negotiable in real estate. And I think that's the one misconception as people see a purchase price and a price point, they're like, oh, I have to do it. No, everything is negotiable.
Right.
So if you're a seller, be able to negotiate, but get your house prepared.
Yeah.
Paint it. Like at this point, you can't just say, hey,
You can't just
repairs.
throw it on the market.
You cannot throw it on the market like you could at those 26% of people
Buyers
buying
have
it.
choices.
Buyers have choices. So you have to restain your fence. You have to go back to what it was in
Do
2019.
your time.
You have to do your tile. Kevin and I, we're having a conversation about that. No, we did actually clean the tile, but whatever. But it is like, we've even gone to the point, and I'm OCD about that. I've already repainted the baseboards before they went on the market, touched up like the ceilings, like any kind of casing, because I'm a 7-year-old and I got 2 dogs. So you have to do that now to prepare your home. Landscape, like the little stuff. You have to go back to the basics of selling your house. Make it location. You have to make it look pretty up front. You can't have trash in your front yard.
And this is information that realtors have to be conveying to their sellers,
for sure,
because it's a shift, it's a change, and people are not they aren't. Everything happens later, right? It's like we always talk about when rates go up or down. Somebody will call and say, "Hey, I heard rates went down today," and you're like, "Well, actually, rates went down 5 days ago, and now they're back up again."
But they've gone up the last 2 weeks.
So yeah, no, and it's not. Look,
you always hear when they go down, never when they go up.
The mechanic, the teacher, the plumber, the guy working at Lockheed, they're not paying attention to the stuff that we pay attention to every day. So it's not unreasonable for them to be behind on the news. But that's just how it works. And so as a realtor and as a lender, you have to understand that.
Yeah.
And you have to constantly educate all of your people on a regular basis about, that's
like even leasebacks are gone. So like
here's the thing, and I want your opinion on this because you spend more time on social media than I do.
Oh.
I feel like that when I see on a regular basis lenders and realtors, and it's happening right now, the posts that we're seeing are, if you need to buy or sell your house, call me. Right? Here's my phone number.
You should have stopped that 4 years ago, folks.
Right. That's not the post we want to do, right? Because
do not put that
you have to sell your brain. You're not selling the house. You're selling your intelligence, your knowledge of the industry, your business. You're selling your brain. And if you're selling, call me to buy or sell your house because I'm a realtor, there's 100,000 other people out there.
Absolutely. So people swipe.
Right.
They swipe past.
So what kind of content should they be putting out?
They should be putting out the goods, the bads, right? What the market's doing, where the market was, where the market is today, how to overcome the objectives. Again, take my pain points and everything we've dissected over 30 minutes and let your consumers and your content know.
Right.
We have to know the pain points of today because those pain points are so much different from June 30th of 2022.
Correct.
And we're only 2.5 weeks later.
Right.
But it's a complete different pain point. It is sellers how to prepare to list your home, buyers how to prepare to buy a home in a high interest rate market, how to budget, get with a local lender. Don't use an online lender because they're not going to help with that. Just little tweaks to make it a first impression because now first impressions matter that they didn't matter even 6 months ago.
Right.
And,
like what's if you're a buyer or seller and you're thinking about buying or selling your home, number one, where's the first place you're going to go?
Well, for me, it's research of.
Okay, no, that's right. But where do you go to research stuff?
It could be on any platform. Most of my consumers come from Instagram and YouTube.
But what I'm saying is that if I'm just sitting here going, okay, I think I want to sell my house. Okay, what is 90% of the people? What's the first thing they do?
How to sell my home. How to prepare.
Where do they look for that?
Google.
Right?
Yeah, it's the Oracle. Come on.
So we go to Google and we type in, what am I looking for? Or what am I trying to buy or sell?
This is why you have to be on Google first YouTube.
That's right.
Because they link together.
That's right. And so if I'm searching these kind of stuff, I'm not saying who's a good agent in my neighborhood to buy or sell from. That's not what I'm looking for.
That was so 2019.
Right. What I'm looking for now is should I? Should I buy? Should I sell? Where's the market going?
How to prepare to sell my
questions,
home.
Right?
Yes.
So if I'm asking questions, then as a content creator who's trying to get people to call me,
you should be doing the same thing.
Answering those questions.
Yes, right? Absolutely. You should be, and that's where a lot of my original content and even my content today came from was hey, what are the top 4 myths about a VA loan, right? We know them.
Yeah.
But when you look on Google and it will tell you here's a percentage of each one of them, then maybe even as lenders, maybe some of our misconceptions and myths are a little bit different, but that's what's being searched.
Right.
So today in July 2022, search of how to sell your home, it's going to give you the 3 to 5 things. Everything that we need to do on social media is the top 3 to 5 things.
Right.
No matter what, because consumers, for some reason, brain 1 and 2 is not long enough, but past 5, we're like, we gone.
Right.
We out.
Right.
So 3 to 5 is a perfect bullet point. Top 3 things to prepare to sell your home in a
Is there
market.
a place that you like? I've looked at Google Trends, but it's kind of hard to. I don't know how to use it correctly because I've gone to it and looked at it to see what like what people are searching for. What do you use? Like, is there a tool that you use to see what people are actually searching for?
Keywords everywhere.
Keywords everywhere. Is
Yes.
that its website?
It's a it's like an AI tool that you can use, and it's like $10 for every like 100,000 hits.
All right.
And
I'm gonna type this in the thing. Keywords everywhere.
Yes.
All right. Don't forget this, Mike.
And it will tell you like, hey, are you searching for mortgages? And it'll say, hey, well, mortgages are being searched, but maybe USDA loans of mortgages are being searched.
Okay.
And so it's a great indicator. And this is kind of where it flows into YouTube because YouTube is so dynamic on keywords.
Right.
And we'll get into that later since we're already at 30 minutes. But it is so prevalent today to be able to just go to the Oracle and type in questions.
Right.
That your sellers, right? I tell all of my agents to get a book and write down every question buyer, sellers, lenders, title, warranty is asking. Go put it into Google and see what comes up.
Right.
Take your content from there and recreate it into your own version.
Yeah. And that's even the higher level. I mean, I would say what you're telling people about writing their questions, just answer the question.
Yep.
Like to your knowledge, answer it. And then if you want to really get effective or granular, whatever you want to call it with it, then go and look for specific questions of what they're asking and whatever. But I mean, a great place to start when you're posting content is just, what did I get? Who asked me what today?
Absolutely.
And how do I answer that? How would I answer it? And sometimes it's a 2-minute answer or 1-minute answer, but that's great.
It doesn't matter.
Because that can go where?
It can go everywhere.
Right.
That's why I like keywords everywhere.
Reels and all kinds of stuff that are short form content that you can do. It doesn't have to be a 45-minute YouTube video or podcast. You can literally answer a question in 1 minute.
Absolutely.
Right.
And everything, and I think, and we talk about this every time we do this, is I think lenders, agents, and really the industry, we consume more education in our brain daily than I think even doctors do, and teachers, right? Because they do the same things over and over. We do to an extent, but when we're talking about fluctuation of market, and we have to talk about inflation, and we have to talk about budgeting, and then we have to talk about, those interest rates, and oh gosh, what's the Fed's doing today? And Fauci is about to go. So is there another monkeypox coming? Like it is all an indicator of real estate.
Right.
So we have to consume so much content, but in a lifespan, one consumer buys 2 homes, 3 homes, maybe,
something like that,
maybe 3 to 4, and they forget it, right?
Well, you can't. This is something I tell my kids all the time when we talk about impressions that you make with people.
Yeah.
Is that what you say and what you do, or I should say, what you say and what the message that you're trying to communicate, people don't remember.
Right.
They don't. What they remember is they remember what you said or did and how it made them feel.
Yeah.
Like what they felt about it. Right. So if you posted something online one day about, earnest money or whatever, and it was a reel and somebody saw it, are they going to remember everything that you put in there?
No.
Probably not. They're not. But are they going to remember that Glenda knows what she's talking about, and this is the person I need to pay attention to from time to time? So then, when you come back into their life, whatever that may be, on the next reel, and you see them at the grocery store, whatever.
Absolutely.
That's the feeling they have, because they don't remember what you said. I mean, look, sometimes that happens for sure, but look, we take in so much information on a day-to-day basis, our brains can't handle it. So
and lenders don't sleep, from what I hear.
Right.
So I don't know about you. I don't sleep. All this stuff is in my head.
I mean, I can't remember on the way here. Right? I drove from my house to here. I don't remember what color cars I saw, how many cars I saw, if I saw a police. I don't remember any of that stuff because it's irrelevant in my life right now. It doesn't matter,
right?
Because I was going from point A to point B, and everything that happened in between, it didn't matter,
right?
But you have to understand that when you're communicating with people, that it's not necessarily what you say, but again, it's how you make them feel.
Yeah.
Were you funny? Were you entertaining? Were you boring? Did you feel like you knew what you were talking about? Because that's what they hold on to, and that's what they remember.
Absolutely.
And so that's how, when you're creating content, that you have to, those are things you have to consider when you're trying to put it out there, because it's
if
not
you're like
about,
this and you're like, oh, do you want to buy a house today?
Right.
They're like, why in the heck would I want to say that? But if you're upbeat, like that's why everything's kind of upbeat. And if you've got the same colors, like Mike has got his black and his white, and it's all about branding and rebranding.
I'm wearing blue today.
And he's
like
wearing
my Blockbuster t-shirt. Bring back Blockbuster. Okay.
Like it's
Netflix
so
and your
retro.
commercials, you can shove it. Bring me back some Blockbuster.
There you go. But it's all about branding and being in front of more people.
Right.
I have a reel that I posted, I think like 3 weeks ago. I was talking to someone yesterday, and it's just now taking off.
Yeah, it takes time.
And it's got like right at like 9,000 views, and it was talking about closing costs. If you want that video, let me know.
Yeah.
But it's evergreen content, meaning it's going to stay on the platform, and it could continue to grow
The
and grow
information
and
is
grow.
applicable at any given time.
But that, do you want to buy or sell a home, is gone tomorrow.
Right.
And it's really gone in about an hour from now.
Yeah.
And so if you have video content, which is number one on every platform right now, your content is going to be consumed and seen by more people. And like you said, it's just going to continue to put it in their feed of who you are, what you're about, and just growing the business.
Well, and even, we're going to finish doing this in probably about 5 minutes. I don't want to go more than about 45 minutes. We've got a long time. But while we've been doing this, we've had anywhere between 1 to 6, 7 people watching live, right?
Right.
So is 7 people the end all be all of what we're trying to do? Of course not, right? That's not what we're trying to get at. But a couple of things happen from doing something like this. Number one is this is going to be on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube for an extended period of time. It's going to show up in people's feeds, and each platform, it might get a couple hundred, 300 or 400 views, typically is what we see. But then after we finish with this, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go through and I'm going to cut out little parts of things that you said and things that I said that are applicable.
Right.
And we're going to take those little clips and we're going to post them in 1 or 2 minute digestible clips.
Micro content.
Right. On all kinds of different platforms in order to get the message out. Because now, ultimately, I'd like to drive people back and have them hear the whole conversation, because I think there's a lot of good things that we talked about today. But even if it's just, here's 2 seconds or 1 minute about what I think about interest rates or what I think about the housing market or whatever.
Right.
That's content that you and I can both use on our own platforms to get the word out, and then try to drive back to the entire conversation. But the idea is that the expectation should not be that me and you, Glenda, are going to sit down here for 45 minutes and we're going to talk, and that there's going to be thousands of people watching.
No.
Nobody cares about us.
Right? No, they don't.
But the idea is that we can use this content, we can use this conversation that we had, that we talk about all the time. Like this isn't something we don't talk about.
No, by the way, this is the normal conversation for Mike and I.
That's right. Yeah, this is what we discuss. So that's the type of stuff that can get traction and get information out there, because it's us being authentic. We're not scripting things. We're not, putting together a plan. I mean, that stuff has its place as well. Don't get me wrong. But this is easy, right? This is really easy. We just sat down. We didn't have a plan other than we want to talk a little bit about you buying and selling your own house and what you're going through, because people could relate. But we didn't sit down here with the bullet points of questions on what we were going to discuss. We just started talking. Right. And now we can use this content of us having a conversation about relevant issues that people are going through, and we can put it in other places.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? So I think it's one of those things that you just have to find. You and I talk about this a lot. You're really good at the reels, the Instagram posts, the quick short stuff that is you're posting a lot. Like, you post a lot, which is great. I don't. But that's because I don't like to do that kind of stuff. And it's not right or wrong. It's just that my personal flavor or my personal taste.
And that's okay.
Right.
It's long form content. And that's fine.
But I can take this long form content and I can turn it into short form content that I can use.
Micro content.
So everybody can have their own path
to
get to whatever they want to do, but you have to do something.
And I think they overthink it, right? So agents, if you need a one-on-one, give me and Mike a call. We would love to sit down with you, but it's overthinking it.
Yeah.
A lot of my agents, when we get them started, they're like, I just don't understand. And then we end up whiteboarding it. And they're like, oh, it's that easy. It's just a matter of just getting out and just getting started. Right. We're going to suck. We're going to embrace the suck, and we're just going to move forward, because it doesn't need to be perfect. No. A client will see if you're perfect at everything. Right. They're going to know that you're that salesy person, But if you just have a raw conversation about a pain point, they're going to be intrigued. If it's going to pull them back, they're going to start telling their friends about it. That's where you start growing on social.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good solid 45 minutes we just did there, Glenda. It didn't feel like 45 minutes, did it?
I know.
It goes
It's
fast.
been a couple weeks. That's why.
That's right. That's right. And we didn't necessarily talk about a whole bunch of granular social media stuff. We just had a conversation.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. It's that easy.
yes, I think it's pretty simple stuff. So, all right, we'll get back at this again next week. Thank you for the one person that's still like, hey, whoever you are, it's good seeing you there. But I'm sure we'll revisit this. You'll see this pop up in a lot of other places because we'll be robo posting everything everywhere.
Yep.
And we'll get back at it again next week.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Glenda. Hope you can sell your house. Hope you have a lot of buyers.
The saga continues.
Yes. Everybody else, it's going to be okay. We're going to come out of
Yes.
this. Don't freak out. It's going to be fine.
Absolutely.
Life's going to go on. Everybody just relax.
Yep.
Just relax. All right. See you guys.
Peace.